Lights, camera, action. Let's start the show. Here's a little wedding advice for me, your content creator, to help your story unfold. Welcome back to your wedding series. This is episode 12. And today's topic, we are talking about we need counseling forever. So, we decided that in our relationship, it was important that we not just have counseling and mentorship before, like right before we got, married, but that we wanted counseling throughout our entire engagement. So, counseling is something that is important in all stages of our life. We've talked a little bit about how counseling and mentorship and accountability is really great for even before you start dating for marriage, when you're in your single phase of your life from age like 14 all the way until you start dating for marriage, whatever age that might be. It's different for everybody. And so we have talked a little bit about those things. And so now we are talking about in the dating for marriage phase. That's where we are right now. And so we're just talking about like what that looks like, what that feels like, some questions to be asking yourselves, as well as if you're going to sit down with a counselor or a mentor, here's some questions that can like help you that we did. And so hopefully you can, take some notes. And these are some questions that will also benefit you when it comes to like dating for marriage and right before you get proposed to, right? So, like, a lot of people kind of skip this step and they're doing counseling once they get engaged. And then some people are waiting all the way until right before they get married. And then they go into some form of counseling. But if you want to be dating for marriage the right way or a better way, these are going to, these episodes are definitely going to be helping you for doing that. Okay. So it's just some advice from me. You don't have to take the advice. These are just things that have helped us along the way in our marriage and in our walk. Okay. So let's start with number one. All right, you're sitting down with your counselor, your mentor, or maybe you're just doing the like, okay, we don't need anybody. We're just going to figure out how to do this on our own type of thing. And that's okay. If that's where you guys are at and you've decided that like maybe you don't want to have a counselor or mentor in your circle. Okay. I think that we need counseling forever, and there should be someone that you are leaning on for accountability, okay, in your marriage, in your relationship that you trust. So let's just get into these questions. Let's get into these questions. Number one, what does marriage mean to you? It's important that both of you sit down and you know talk about these. And what was so nice about me and my honeydew is that we both had like a very one for one answer to what does marriage mean to us. It's love, it's patience, it's kind, and putting those things into action was very, very important to us. I also talked about it with him how in the marriage, I wanted to make sure that every single night that we had dinner together, that basically we're still going on dates. And so after work and everything is over, rather than grabbing food separately, we make sure that we eat together, that we break bread together. And so also prayer is a big part of our household. And so that's another part of our marriage that's a huge component. So yeah, like things like that. Travel, we love to dance. So that was also, I know, dancing, like not everybody's thing they're going to throw in there for marriage. But if that's something that you like to do, it's important that you bring these things up. And so, what does marriage mean to you is different for everybody. And that's why it's important that you guys start the conversation now while you're dating for marriage and not when you're already engaged. Number two, are you ready for marriage? Very important question. So, while you're dating for marriage, before you even get proposed to, we talked about, are we are we ready for marriage? Like, is this something that both of us like want to do, like, and are ready for? And so we didn't want the other one to feel like some crazy pressure, like, oh, he wants to get married or she wants to get married, so I have to say yes to this question. No, we both had one day we were sitting down, and I had gotten really quiet, and my honeydew had said, it was like he could like hear my thoughts. And I didn't want to be the like first person to like bring up marriage or anything like that. Even though I knew that we were dating for marriage, like I just knew. And the thing is, he knew. He knew from the start because he had asked the Lord like to show me who my wife is, right? And so, oh my gosh. So, him doing that and being shown for sure that it was me and not telling me, because like you don't go up and tell the person, because like they're just going to get scared off, they're going to like run away, like you don't go tell the person. And so it's so beautiful how things just it just unfolded. And so there we were sitting down, we were talking, and this is during the dating for marriage phase, and I got so quiet, and I did not want to tell him my thoughts. And he said, I can see it, it's like we're walking through the grass and the trees, and there's those white folded chairs, and there's water. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's exactly what I was thinking about, is like my vision for our wedding, right? During this dating for marriage phase. And so I was so incredibly happy in that moment because we were on the same accord. We both felt it at the exact same time in our relationship. And I just thought, what a blessing. Oh, that is just so good. I got to have another sip. Oh, I just thought, what a blessing. This is amazing. This amazing man in my life who's ready to be the spiritual head of our household, and it was just great. It was just great. Let's move on. Number 3. Are you ready to buy a house? Now, we did not ask this question during our counseling session during dating for marriage. We did not. We talked about like where we wanted to live. Like we knew that we wanted to live coastal. We knew that we wanted to live like near the beach. Maybe not on the exact beach, like on the beach itself, because those houses can like wash away. So we want to be near the beach, but not on the actual beach for the home. But we did not talk about, are we ready to buy a house? And as you guys know, throughout these episodes, we've been talking about this and how you can prepare if that is your desire, to at least bring it up. Okay. To at least bring it up. So if you are in the dating phase and you're at this part right here where you are talking about like, okay, we need to be questioning some things before we even get engaged, this is a really good question for you, is, are we ready to buy a house? Like, is the deposit ready, or have you talked to family members that are going to be passing down a house to you in an inheritance or things like that? So let's keep going. Number 4, are you ready to have insurance for everything? All right. So insurance is a big one. We did not ask ourselves this question, and we realize now how important this question would have been during the dating for marriage phase. So I do want to give that a bit of advice to you, that you do start talking about insurance for everything, insurance for yourselves. Do you already have it? Like, that's important for you guys to both talk about and to know going into before the proposal, right? And so are you ready to have insurance on both of your cars if you decide to buy new ones or whatever that may be? Do you already have insurance on both of your vehicles? Do you Are you ready to have insurance on the house that you purchase? Are you ready to have wedding insurance? We're going to talk about that in another episode. Are you ready to have insurance for your future children? Okay. So having insurance for everything, literally everything, okay? And I don't mean like you go buy a printer at the store and you're talking about you need to buy some insurance for that. That's not what we're talking about, right? We're just talking about all these other things, medical and house and car insurance and things like that. Number 5, are you emotionally ready for marriage? So this is different from just are you ready to get married? This is emotionally ready. Are you emotionally stable? Okay? We have definitely talked about this in previous episodes, but it's a good question to ask right now in the counseling session while you're both sitting down and having these chats and everything, is like, are you ready? Are you emotionally ready for marriage? So it's important that you understand that it is a little bit different from the are you ready for marriage in comparison to are you emotionally ready, because like are you ready to get married is not the same thing, right? So all right, number 6, are you compatible? Now I know that along the way you guys have already been like, oh my gosh, we get along so great and this and that, we have so much in common. But now it's time to like ask this question together with your counselor, your mentor, or like I said, if you're not going to do that, but at least going to sit down with each other and go over these questions and be real with one another during the dating phase for dating for marriage before he proposes. Okay. So, are you compatible? Number 7, are you ready? Okay, we already had that one. Are you ready for marriage? Okay, so we had that. We'll throw that one out. Number 8, are you ready for children? Are you ready for children? We had a whole episode dating dedicated to how we're going to raise children and this and that, and how are they going to come into the world, how we want our births to be, our baby births. I almost said wedding births. We're not birthing a wedding. I mean, I guess it could kind of feel like that, but that's not what we're doing over here. We're talking about how do you want to have the birth for your babies. So with that, are you ready for children? So we had a whole episode dedicated to it. And so hopefully you got a chance to look at that. But this was something that like we talked about as well. And my honeydew, he's so funny. He was just ready to be a grandpa. When it comes to this question, it's just like, I'm ready to be a grandpa. So I think it's because like he had such a wonderful relationship with his grandfather. And did you ever notice that whenever people talk about family, especially like say like, your parent, right? Whenever they bring up their family to anybody, they will talk about their grandkids, but they won't talk about their kids. That's interesting. Isn't that interesting? I'm like, wait a second. That is so true. I mean, my mom, thankfully, she does bring me up. Woo! Not saying this is a one for one for every family, thank goodness. But I have noticed that a lot of like people that I know and stuff, like they'll talk about like their grandkids, but they won't talk about their kids. Maybe they're maybe they're like, I did my job and they just did not turn out the way. So yeah, so we always wanted to have twins so that Yeah. So anyways, we thought that they could definitely grow old together and help each other out, being a boy and a girl. So that was our desire. So make sure you guys ask that question and talk about that. Number 9. What are your hobbies? This is such a great question to be asking before you ever get engaged is what are your hobbies? I know that we spend a lot of time with our partner whenever we are dating for marriage and like we can see the things that they're doing with us, but we can't always see the things that they're doing when we're not around. So I do think that it's important that you ask them, what are you doing for your hobbies so that you have a good clue about what that is, right? And so, yeah. All right. Let's keep going to number 10. Number 10. So we're talking about hobbies. And let's keep on going to, let me check this guy out. Okay, looks like we're still doing good. All right, let's keep going. Now remember, if be discussing this stuff and you can chat along with me as well. Ask me some questions. All right, or if there's questions that you would like to ask your partner during counseling or before you get proposed to. I'd like to hear your questions too. That's yeah, I want to hear what you had to ask, what you would like to ask. All right. So, like I said, number 9, making sure you talk about what are those hobbies because maybe they have some hobbies that like you are like, I don't know about that, like just talk about those hobbies. That's my advice here. It's talk about like what they're doing in their free time when they get home from work on a daily, not just their basketball sessions with friends, but like what are they doing every single day when they get home, from work? Are they prepping their meals, getting their dinner ready, taking a shower, getting all washed up and clean? Are they, sitting down in front of their computer right away to play some video games and they're still all nasty and dirty? That could be, are they laying in front of the TV on the sofa with their dirty clothes on from work? It's important to be real. It's important to be real right here. And so, maybe you're the type of person that you like can't live with that. Maybe you're a very clean person and you're like, you need to take a bath, you need to take a shower when you get home from work, before you want to be hugging on me and stuff. So, just ask them about their hobbies, all right? Just ask them about their hobbies. Maybe every single day at like 6 p.m. after work, they have like this huge thing they go do for like 3 hours. Well, you probably won't get to have dinner with that person if they're doing that every single day. And so I know, like, for me, that was something that was important to me is that every single day that we were able to have dinner together, because most of the time you're going to be working during the day and like you won't have that time to really release about your day or like your goals and passions in the future if you're all constantly running around all day, right? Separately. So, all right. Number 10, what do you do at home for your alone time? So we talked about that a little bit with number 9 with the hobbies. Number 11, what hobbies do you see us doing as a couple? So talk about like what do you guys see yourselves doing together? I know, like I mentioned before, me and my honey talked about like dance class and traveling. We both love those things so, so much. And so it was important for us to make sure that that was like incorporated, even if it meant just like dancing at home because we couldn't find a studio anymore because we were going to be moving to a new place, a new city. So like, I mean, that's what we talked about during our dating for marriage phase is like we wanted to move, right? And so we wanted to make sure that like we're even dancing at home. We both love to play board games together, so that's really exciting and fun and challenging because he's really good at like everything, but I am amazing at Uno. I am the Uno master in this house. So, and amongst friends as well, which is really, really great. But yeah, so make sure that you are discussing like, well, what hobbies could we do together? We also like going to the park. We really enjoy the park and we really enjoy the beach. So we enjoy the park, the beach, going swimming, all the good things like that. And so it's like I said, it was important to us that we made sure that we continue to incorporate that in our marriage as a couple. So we talked about that for sure, that important question. Number 12. I may throw in an extra one since we had to skip out on one. I may throw in an extra one that I just remembered, but we'll see if I save that for another time. How much screen time are you having every single day and before bed? This is an important question that no, we did not ask with the counselor doing the dating phase for marriage. And I wish that I had. I wish that I had, because screen time is like an important thing to me. I don't think that people should overuse staring at screens and things like that. And so it's important that you balance. And when I say balance, I mean just because you're awake for 16 hours that you feel like, okay, well, 8 of those hours should be staring at a screen. It's, 50-50. No, 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 no. Like, you need to lessen that screen time so that you can put your face on your honey. Okay? Like, be looking at them more than staring at that screen, and reading to each other and things like that. We love to spend our evenings, our nights right before bed reading the Bible. And so my honey will read a piece of scripture to us or an entire chapter, and then we will talk about it as we are drifting to bed. And it's really wonderful because then, like, those last thoughts that you're having is like God's words ministering to your hearts, okay, and minds, rather than the woes and cares of this crazy world. So yeah, find some habits that you guys can get into that that you can talk about, that when you do get to marriage, that you will be able to incorporate. Okay. So number 13, what most excites you about marriage? What most excites you about marriage? Now, we did talk about this one. What most excited us about marriage was getting to wake up with each other every single day. We did not live together before marriage. We lived separately. And so we were so excited to get to just, get to love and cherish on one another for the rest of our life, and get to do life together and face, challenges and obstacles and all the beautiful things too, and celebrations together. So, yeah, ask this question to each other, why are you so excited to get married? Okay. And really, really be truthful, guys, with these answers. Okay. It's important. Like, don't just be sitting there nonchalant, and actually respond to each other's questions. There is a really, really big question that I'm going to be asking later on when it comes to, like, when you are engaged. And yeah, we're going to wait to get there. But all right. Number 14, talk about challenges that you've seen in other people's marriages. So other marriages. So you guys definitely, like I said, are not married yet. This is dating for marriage. You're in your counseling sessions. And we're talking about challenges that you've seen from other, marriages, like your parents' marriages, your grandparents' marriages, other friends, just other families that you've, like, observed, okay, in person. And so what are some of those challenges? One thing that I notice is that people just have a hard time communicating. They have a hard time talking to one another. And so how can you better do that? Well, practice talking. Start with these questions right here and just talk to each other, right? So I've noticed that people are challenged in the area of just speaking to one another. And I'm like, wow, how is that possible? But it is. And so, that's, I told my honey that, like, I did not want to be in a marriage that was sad. I also saw that as a challenge, that, like, I saw people staying married for all sorts of reasons, but yet they weren't happy. And so I was like, I don't want to be in an unhappy marriage. Okay? So, like, I made it very clear, and it's important that you do the same, that you are honest, you're upfront with, you know, some of the challenges that you see and like how you guys can either avoid them or how you can at least work on them when those kind of challenges arise, because nobody wants to admit that marriage is hard and that it's challenging, but it's true. And what's important is how you get through those obstacles. And that's why I'm saying communication is so important. And it's one of the main things I see as a challenge with a lot of marriages. I also have noticed that there are people who actually are married and live in separate bedrooms, like actually sleep in separate bedrooms. How is that possible? Like, are you married or are you just roommates? So, no. So, I would never want that. I would never, ever, ever want that. So, talk about some of the challenges that you've seen with other marriages. And who knows, maybe by going through some of these answers, some things might come out that like you didn't expect to come out. You know, sometimes people are really, really afraid of marriage, but they're just doing it because the other person wants them to get married, or they're going to like lose that person. They're going to break up with them. And so they're afraid. I told you guys about how I had this one friend in my life that like she told him, if you don't, you know, propose to me soon, like we're through. And the person like passed out, had a heart attack in his early 30s. He was like 30 years old in the middle of the street. True story. Okay. So you don't want to be getting married for the wrong reasons. So that's why it's important to be going over these questions. Okay. Number 15. How can you avoid these challenges? We talked a little bit about that in 14. Number 16, but it's important that you guys talk about that. Okay. Number 16. What scares you the most about marriage? What scares you the most about marriage? So we talked about what excites us the most, but then talking about what scares us the most. And with me mentioning it in the other question about challenges, what scares me the most is to be unhappy. I would never, I've seen it and I would never want that for us. I would never, ever, ever want that for us. Or for you too. So I hope that you guys take the time out to talk about what scares you the most about marriage, talk about challenges that you've seen. And you can even talk about those good things that you've seen too. Talk about the stuff that's been like, oh my gosh, you see this couple that like holds hands still. They still hold hands. They walk into anywhere holding hands. Ah! They walk side by side. One isn't like heavily in front of the other. You still see them give little smooches here and there or little hugs to one another. You see them celebrating like job accomplishments or still celebrating their birthdays together, even if it's just the two of them. It makes me so happy. And those are the things that, even to this day, 6 years of being married, as of this video being made, we still have strong in our marriage. And I want that for you. I want that for you. So I hope that you guys are taking this advice seriously. Okay. Remember to be real, be raw, be clear on what your ideas of marriage is. If you want someone who stays at home, cooks and cleans, meal preps for you, and this is what they do, and they're the ones at home taking care of your babies while you're at work, husband. If that's what you want, say it. Say it during the dating for marriage phase. Don't wait until you're engaged or married and being like, "Oh, I really thought that you were going to like quit your job. I really thought that like you were going to stop traveling the world." It's important for you to talk about these things now. Okay? It's important for you to talk about where you're at in your growth journey, being honest with your finances during the dating for marriage phase. Don't wait until you're engaged or married and then bring up, "Oh, I have all this debt. I have all this debt that I've accrued." That's not fair to the other person. Okay? So be honest in your growth journey as well on your way to getting married, right? Never go to bed angry. Never go to bed angry. That's important because a lot of times you guys are going to like be so upset that it's like, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed. I'm just going to go to bed. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm telling you right now, you don't want to go to bed with anger in your heart. Talk it through, and even though it's hard, listen. Listen to the other person as to why they're upset. Ask the question, why are you so mad at me? What did I do? How can I make it better? I'm sorry. Huge. Goes a long way. Goes a very, very long way. Remember that when you're married, you will always have a cuddle buddy. You will always have a travel buddy. You will forever have that person that cares about you and waits for you to come home each day, safe and unharmed, who loves you unconditionally. Okay? That person that celebrates your birthdays, celebrates holidays that you guys have decided to celebrate together. Sometimes it's just the two of you. Sometimes you don't have family where you live, and it's just the two of you. So remember to love each other and care about each other and nurture each other. Okay? It's important. It's very, very important to talk about this when we talk about what is marriage to you. That's what marriage is to us. To me and my honeydew, we we love marriage. It's an important part of the stages of life. Okay? So take it seriously. Remember that you're also going to have somebody that's that tells you, you know what, like something seems off. Something seems wrong. Are you okay? You check in with one another. Okay? Check in with one another. It's important. You guys, I hope that when you are sitting down with your counselor, you can talk about some of these questions or all of them, right? While you're dating for marriage before you get engaged. Okay? So, before you get engaged. Now, I did mention that we might add in another question. I've decided that we're going to do it in our next episode, but I hope that you have gotten something out of this one. What are some questions that you would like to ask your partner while you're dating for marriage, or that you wished that you had asked while you were dating for marriage? I will definitely see you all in the next episode, and I hope that you have been enjoying these. Anybody that wants to chat along with me, please feel free to do so. I'm here. I'm here to chat. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.